Hello and welcome to the Thomas Miller Show. I'm Thomas Miller. Thank you for listening to this podcast yet once again. Took a long break. Well, not a long break. I took a couple days, 4th of July weekend, enjoyed myself, and I had a great time. Celebrated Independence Day. Our independence from England, Great Britain, in 1776. John Hancock was one of the signatures on the Declaration of Independence on that day. And the reason why I put out those facts, because I watched a video about Americans not knowing some of these facts of why we celebrate Independence Day, but I'm going to save that for another podcast. Once again, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you have any questions and you want to email the show or you want to just give me a comment, you can do that directly via email. That's thomasmiller@thomasmillershow.com, thomasmiller@thomasmillershow.com, or you can comment on my YouTube link, which is on YouTube, Thomas Miller Show, and I will put that in the description below. And you can also go to thomasmillershow.com, which I'm still under construction. I promise I'm going to get that up ASAP. That will probably be up this week. I'm doing everything myself, so it is going a little bit slower than a normal full functioning podcast would go. Just bear with me. Okay. Today's show, or today's podcast, I'm going to focus on a documentary that I watched over this past weekend, and it's quite enlightening. Now, it's been out for a little bit of time. I'm going to say at least over a month, maybe 2 months. And the documentary is entitled, What is a Woman? And you can go to the Daily Wire and watch that documentary. I think you have to sign up or something like that. I forgot how much it is, but it is worth it. If you do nothing but sign up just to watch this documentary, you need to watch it. Yeah, it's quite enlightening. So basically, that is the premise of the documentary, is what is a woman? And it's quite surprising to know that people do not know what a woman is, the definition of a woman. What is a woman? I mean, we can't even get any more plain than that. Now, that's a question that you can ask yourself, and then you answer that question with yourself, or you can get around a group of people and you can ask them, or ask your spouse. If you're a husband like myself, ask your wife, what is a woman? But it was quite enlightening and fascinating to some of these answers that these people were given to that question. And this guy was going around, and not only would he talk to people on the street, he pretty much talked to everyone that you can think of regarding this issue. He talked to people on the street. He talked to doctors. He talked to a college professor. He talked to a politician. He talked to women at a women's right demonstration with the recent Roe versus Wade demonstrations. He talked to those people too. He talked to a trans woman. I don't want you guys hating on me, but I think when a man transitions to a woman that's a trans woman, he talked to a trans woman. And the answers that were given were just astonishing, absolutely astonishing. The reason why I bring this up is this is how far that our society has fallen. And let me backtrack a little bit. He even went to, I believe, a tribe in Africa. I'm going to watch the documentary again. And I just thought it was very astonishing to hear these answers and to see how far we have literally fallen away from just common sense. From that, we can't even determine what a woman is. Now, the most popular answer was anyone who identifies as a woman is a woman. And when he was talking to a college professor who teaches something like gender studies or something to do with social issues with women, and he was asked this question, what is a woman? And his response was, anyone who identifies as a woman. And then he said, well, what is that? And then they went round and round with the circular exchange. Well, that's what I'm asking you. What is a woman? Well, anyone who identifies as a woman. Okay, that's fine. But what is a woman? Like, what are you basing being a woman on someone who identifies as a woman? What is the base definition of that statement of a woman? And again, it was just quite enlightening. Now, I'm going to get a little bit religious because I follow Jesus. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I try my best to follow his doctrine, Jesus' doctrine. So I read the Bible a lot. And this is just my take on this. Well, actually, it's not my take. It's just the truth. I believe it's in... Now, I'm trying to go from memory here. I believe it's 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3. And it says, they will not accept sound doctrine. That they'll have itchy ears and they'll go after teachers that they deem as right. Now, I'm paraphrasing that, but you can go and double check that scripture for yourself. And you can read the beginning, and you can read the verses before that and the verses after that. And I suggest that you do. And I've come to the conclusion that this is not even about religious doctrine. This is also common sense doctrine. This is common sense teachings that people will find other people that will support their idiotic assumptions upon life. That common sense is no longer, let's be clear. Common sense is no longer a thing. It really is not. It is done. And it's funny watching this documentary how people just, when you ask them questions like that, what is a woman? They get defensive. They get irritated. They get combative. Because they don't like to be questioned on their stupidity. They don't want to be questioned on their ridiculous views on just common sense truth. I mean, it's crazy. Like, and I'm looking outside. I'm looking at flowers. I'm looking at flowers, and I'm looking at roses. And if you were to say, hey, Thomas, what is a rose? I would say, well, a rose is a plant. It has thorns. It's usually red, but it has thorns. It's very beautiful. It blooms in sunlight, needs a lot of water. But basically, it is a plant that is a flower. Okay. So anything that resembles that could be a rose. Yeah, it could be a variation of a rose, but that is just a definition. That's just my take on it. If you were to ask me, Thomas, what is a rose? It's usually red. It has thorns, and it's a plant, and then it does very well in water and sunlight. Okay. So if I saw something else like that and I said, hey, is that flower a rose? No, that's not a rose because of this. A carnation is not a rose. Well, why isn't a carnation a rose? Well, number one, it doesn't have thorns. It is a flower, but it doesn't have thorns, so it's not a rose. So if you told me, well, I'm going to call that a rose, I would tell you, that's not right, bro. But I call it a rose. No, that's a carnation. Well, I identify that flower as a rose. Bro, okay, but it's wrong. This is how these people are answering this question. Anyone who identifies as a woman, but what is a woman? I invite everyone to really start paying attention to what's going on around you. These are the people that are in our classrooms, that are teaching our children. These are the people that are pushing this crazy, ridiculous agenda onto the masses. And if you're not careful, you could buy into this. And the reason why I say that is because at one time, this is painful to admit. At one time, I could see, okay, yeah, we need to accept everyone. Yeah, maybe there is different variations of the truth. I used to think like that on a couple different issues. And now I'm like, wait a minute, take a breath, step back, and let's look at the facts. I'm a person that likes to look at the facts. Whether I like them or not, whether it makes me feel uncomfortable or not, I'd rather for you to tell me the truth. Could it be hurtful? Could it hurt my feelings? Could it offend me? Could it make me feel uncomfortable? Absolutely. But at least I know that's the truth. And then I take that truth and then I use it to benefit me or to really look at a situation and say, okay, at least I got the truth. I may not agree with it. I may not like it. Or I may agree with it. I love it. But at least it's the truth. And then I take that information, I do what I deem as acceptable with that truth. But it's always the truth. I hope I didn't confuse there, because that's not my intent. The intent of this podcast is to stir up conversation. It's to make you feel uncomfortable sometimes, not to hurt your feelings, never to hurt your feelings, never to make you feel less of a person, but to stir up the juices inside your brain to say, wait a minute, let me start questioning this and let me stop accepting doctrine that's not true. I mean, the notion that we are changing kids and people into something that we can't even define. So let me clarify myself. So in this documentary, he starts questioning a surgeon who does gender reassignment surgery to children as young as 16 years old. And again, when you do surgery, it's pretty much permanent. Now, you can reverse surgeries. I'm sure you can, but it's pretty much permanent. At the very least, it's going to leave a scar. A couple years ago, I had brain surgery to fix a situation it hasn't been fixed. I have hemifacial spasms, and which it has not fixed, but there's still a scar from that surgery. Now, you can barely see it, but there's still a scar. So when we do these surgeries, they're going to leave at least a scar, and we're changing people into stuff that we have no definition. So let's just go by the logic of you can't define a woman. There is no definition. It's someone who associates with women or identifies as a woman. Now, that could be anything. And there's no clear-cut definition. Well, what is a woman? Well, anyone who identifies as a woman. Okay. But we're changing people. We're changing their physical anatomy. to something that you don't even know what you're changing into. We're giving hormones to stop the natural process to change someone into something that we don't even know. I mean, the most alarming thing is when I heard the Supreme Court Justice, I forget her name because I'm just like, you know what, you're loco. And she was asked, well, can you give me a definition of a woman? And she goes, I'm not a biologist. I'm like, what are you, bro, you're hurting my head. What are you talking about? And I believe it was Marsha, what's her name? I want to say she's a senator or governor of Tennessee. I think she's a senator, Marsha Blackburn. And she goes, okay, don't you have children? She goes, yes. And then Marsha goes, but you can't tell me what a woman is? Again, I'm not a biologist. I'm like, wow, that's alarming. This is someone who's going to be interpreting the Constitution, who is now, and she doesn't even know what a woman is. Which is also alarming on different levels, because how can you have women's rights when clearly by your own admission, you don't know what a woman is? You can't define a woman, but you're going to advocate for women's rights. Quite interesting. And we're also mutilating our children because they associate with being a woman at a young age, at the age of 16, which is ridiculous because you go through so many changes at 16. I remember 16, and it was just a whirlwind of different emotions, different feelings, trying to navigate becoming a young adult, and making that transition from adolescence to adulthood. How many things were going on? It was just ridiculous. The things that I wanted to do, how many thoughts that I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I wanted to own a business. I wanted to be a radio talk show host. All this stuff was going on at that time. I wanted to be popular with the ladies. I wanted to have muscles, and I didn't have muscles. I still don't have muscles. But all of these things, all these transitions, all these feelings, how I felt about one person one day, how I felt about one girl one day, and then felt about another girl the other day. I mean, everything was just topsy-turvy. So how can someone who's going through all of this stuff choose what gender they want to be, and then you're going to mutilate, let's just call it what it is, you're going to mutilate their physical attributes because of what they think that they want? Now, there's always an exception to the rule, but for the most part, kids and teenagers and even early adults don't know what they want. Again, when I was a little kid, and it's funny because one of the surgeons who would give adolescents hormone blockers so to stop their puberty says that even when the child comes out, they can process what gender that they want to be. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I thought I was Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzards in the 5th grade, and me and my friend Brian would run around the school building because we were the General Lee. You couldn't have told me anything different. He was Luke Duke, I was Bo Duke, and we both simultaneously were the General Lee. You couldn't have told us anything different. At that time, I was associating with being a Duke boy and a car at the same time, running around the school building. Are you kidding me? So you mean to tell me, according to the logic today, that I could go to an auto mechanic and say, can you turn me into the General Lee? This is what I associate with. I'm a car. Can you turn me into a car? I no longer want legs or arms. I want wheels, chrome wheels, rubber tires. I'd like for my trunk, I don't want a butt anymore. I want a trunk. And down each side of my rib cage, I want you to paint the Confederate flag. Can you do that for me? Because I'm a car. Specifically, I'm the General Lee. They would say, sir, what is wrong with you? Boy, go outside and continue to play. Fast forward to now. I no longer want to be a car. I'm perfectly happy being a red-blooded American male. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. This is nice. If I was changed into a car, I would definitely have some deep regrets about being a car. Now, people are going to say, well, you're going extreme. Thomas, you're going extreme. This is ridiculous. Of course you can't be a car. Okay. Again, I invite you to watch the documentary for yourself. There was someone who identified as a wolf. And I think they were a transgender wolf. So, transgender male who identifies as a wolf. And we're supposed to accept that. I'm telling you right now, I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people when I say this, but this is the truth. I'm no longer going to buy into your stupidity, because this is stupid now. We've now crossed over into stupidity. I will not call you a wolf. I will not bark at you. I don't mean any disrespect when it comes to pronouns. I don't mean any disrespect at all. But I'm not going to buy into you need to call me that, and it's offensive if you call me something, if you call me a different pronoun. If you look like a male, I'm going to say he, him, his. If you look like a woman, she, her, hers. Now, I've made this mistake all the time. How many times have you seen a little boy who has long hair, but they're the cutest thing in the world, and you call them a girl? Oh, your little girl's so cute. Oh, it's a boy. We just haven't cut his hair yet. My son, for the first year of his life, true story, for the first year of his life, we did not cut my son's hair. We let it grow. And people sometimes thought that he was a girl. I did not get offended. I did not get upset and say, how dare you misgender my son? I looked and said, yeah, he looks like a girl. We haven't cut his hair yet. We just want to see how long it will grow the first year of his life. And then after the first year of his life, we cut his hair. But yeah, he did look like a girl for a little bit. And I don't think that's offensive. I don't think that people go out purposely trying to misgender people. I don't think people go out and say, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to misgender as many people as I can because I'm just bad to the bone. Bad. So anyone that I see, I'm going to misgender. If I see somebody who looks like Beyonce, I'm going to say, hello, sir. How are you doing, sir? Or if I see someone who looks like The Rock, excuse me, ma'am. How are you doing on this fine day? I'm just going to go around and misgender people. People don't do that. If you look like a man or a woman, that's generally what we're going to call you. It's not out of disrespect. And now this even goes to like hate crimes. You can be put into jail. Again, go and watch the documentary, What is a Woman? Because a father in Canada literally got locked up because he misgendered his own daughter. because she wanted to transition, wanted to take hormone blockers, and started the transition process. The wife was on board, he wasn't. And they locked him up. Because this is, no, I'm not doing that. This is why, and I'm going to wrap this up really quick. This is why we need to get founded. We need to have sound doctrine. And if you are Bible-believing Christian like myself, you need to get yourself in the Word. You need to study the Word. And people say, well, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't do that because, there's a lot of hate in the Bible and all this stuff. And for those people, respectively, I got to tell you, you haven't read the Bible. But anyway, outside of that, just get sound doctrine. There's a reason why there's an old saying, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it's a duck. Very interesting. But anyway, let me know what you think. Good or bad, I welcome your opinions. You can comment in the comment box down below. You can send a scathing email, or an email says, hey, Thomas, you're doing a great job. Keep it going, to Thomas Miller. That's my name at thomasmillershow.com. Thomas Miller at thomasmillershow.com. I thank you for listening to this podcast. Hopefully it's giving you food for thought. Hopefully you will go and watch the documentary. I will be here next time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.